Welcome to A Multitude of Counselors. This is part 2 of The Man Who Almost Never Slept. Our guest is Shawn Boonstra, and he is the director and principal speaker and communicator of the Voice of Prophecy. I'm sorry I didn't say that in the last segment. And I forgot to introduce my illustrious panel of counselors as well, who pretty much, you know, pried Shawn open.
They're the squirm makers. They make me squirm.
We're going to continue the squirming process, but let me introduce my friends here. This is Nicole Parker. She's a biblical counselor from Tennessee, and Nivischi Edwards, Dr. Nivischi Edwards from Tennessee, soon to move to Georgia. This is Shelley Wiggins, a professional counselor from Michigan, and we have the wonderful challenge today of helping Shawn Boonstra with his sleep issues. But as we sort of probed what was going on with the sleeplessness, we realized that there was an element of perfectionism, anxiety and perfectionism in Shawn, and we are still kind of wondering if that's leading to the sleeplessness or if maybe there's just a baseline anxiety and a baseline. He says no.
No, it certainly was there in the beginning.
Okay.
The anxiety seems like such a
pathological
word, other than anxiety makes it sound like I'm not nail biting and sweating.
Okay.
Maybe it qualifies as anxiety anyway. My brain is active.
Yeah, very active brain, but also fearful, I would say, of things not being as good as you want them to be. And that's what we broke down, is that you have compartmentalized and have full confidence that you're going to be in heaven with Jesus. No spiritual fear, but you've got fear that you won't do your best. And so you have this perfectionism at work in that arena.
In some areas, for example, I hold large city evangelistic campaigns, and those are massive undertakings. They're 20-hour days. I noticed some years ago, I stopped worrying about them. Don't worry, we've had 100 of them. They all went well, and it's going to be fine. God's running this show.
Okay, that's good.
So, have I learned that? Yeah, to some extent. And, between shows, we were talking a little bit. Am I better than I used to be? Yeah, I don't worry like I used to.
And you also, when you are awake at night, which you still are a lot, you don't ruminate on the things that you would used to ruminate on and worry about. True?
True. I think it's definitely better than it was, say, 10. And my wife will tell you, she thinks maybe it's just middle age coming around and I'm getting mellower.
Mellowing
That's
out a
what
little
she
bit.
says. I like you like this. You're mellower than you used to be.
Yeah, it could be related to testosterone levels. I don't want to get too
personal
here.
No, that's probably true.
Lower testosterone will mellow a guy out. But I have a question for you. We've been talking about your willingness level to experiment.
Yeah, I know, and it's driving me nuts.
With not being a perfectionist. So, for instance, we suggested leaving a typo in a tweet, and you just about had a meltdown right in the chair when I suggested that.
Yes.
So I want to ask you.
I crawled under the table and wept a little.
I know. So I want to ask you something. If you knew that by setting the example of being imperfect and being okay with it, you could help another person who was really struggling and whose perfectionism was really hurting them, would you do it for that reason?
That's a good question. I don't know that I know the answer. I talk a pretty good game with other people who are wrestling with it, telling them, just let it go. Don't you trust God? I talk a really good game.
But what if they aren't going to accept your words? They want to see your example.
Yeah.
Would you be willing to experiment? Would you be willing to take one for the team? And experiment with maybe showing other people, doing it for altruistic reasons. I want this person, because for them, like for me, it's going to make me a great writer, evangelist, but for them, it's going to make them.
You know what I find curious is I've done some thinking. In some areas, I do that. I don't mind making mistakes in a public evangelism. I don't care if I misstate something. I don't care if I make a mistake. And in a recording, if I make a mistake in a TV show, I don't let them stop. Don't stop it. Don't go back. I made a mistake.
Right.
So in some areas, I'm perfectly fine with that. I am very comfortable in my skin. I like being who I am, and I don't care that I mess up.
It's in the recovery.
Fact, I admit it to the audience up front. I mess up 5 times a day. Here's what I'll tell them: a story from my day, so that the audience understands that even though I'm up front, I'm not perfect.
Humanizes.
So you're familiar with the process of humanizing.
Yeah. So I do that, and so in some areas, I'm perfectly fine with that. I don't mind being imperfect. I really don't. But in other areas, is it done?
It seems like
is it done
are
bothers
your
me.
trigger.
I think that's probably the is it done bothers me more than. Am I perfect?
Okay.
All right.
So Shawn, you mentioned that you have racing thoughts at night. You can't shut your brain down.
Oh, that's right.
Okay, so how do you shut your computer down?
I close the lid so that it's really easy to open again at 2 a.m.
Like a forced? so you don't,
no shutdown
you don't
time.
shut it down.
I have
You
never
just
turned my laptop
close it.
off ever.
Okay.
So your laptop works like your brain does.
Oh yeah, it's on all the time.
Would you be willing to hear a few suggestions?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, so you have a screen.
Yep.
That's your brain.
Yep.
And all these little icons are popped up. Okay, and there's these little boxes. You know what they look like.
Yep.
You click on them, and it shuts them down, and they go into their appropriate files. Okay. If you wanted to do that on paper first, we can show
Well-
you how to do that, and then you actually
Paper makes
shut it
sense.
down.
Because I've told myself, okay, that's done till tomorrow, that's done till tomorrow, put it away, put it away, put it away. 2 minutes later,
It pops back.
they pop back up.
There's something
So-
about the hand will write
Yeah. I
what
make
the mouse
lists.
can't say or whatnot. So if you get physically up out of bed and go to a different room, and that's important, and do this exercise,
Yeah,
and
don't
then
get
go
up or
back
to a different room.
to your room.
You get up and what do? You go,
You have to leave your space of sleep
So that
and
it
go
becomes
do the
sacred sleep space.
exercise. Do this exercise outside of your sacred space, because the bed is for two things, and I'm not going to say what all those two things are. But if you take care
in.
of, Shawn,
Yeah.
look, we have a plane waiting for you.
Yes. I
Okay. Jean's already packed your bags. If you
She
want
helps pack a
change,
lot.
if you want change, we can help you.
Yeah. No.
Okay. No, seriously. If this works, if you leave where you're sleeping and go to a different room and take care of what's on your mind, if it's writing lists, if it's
That I've learned.
Bullet points,
I've learned
whatever
to
you
do.
gotta
I write
do.
it down so that it's okay to leave it behind because tomorrow the list is there.
it'll be there on the kitchen
Right.
table, but then you go back
But if
to your
I-
bed where it's supposed to be for
And that
your
makes
brain
sense.
to
Now I
sleep.
do not. That does make sense. I do not leave the bed. I just deal with it there. I have a notepad on the nightstand.
all sleep hygiene protocols will tell you to leave your
I
space
know.
you're sleeping, because you'll develop an association with your place of sleep between anxiety and trouble and problems and your place
And
of
that,
sleep.
that does make some good sense. That makes
Yeah.
a lot of sense.
The
and
brain
I
makes
am
a
not
lot.
good at leaving
So
the
because it makes sense.
Yes.
Is
Oh,
it
here it comes. Here it
possible-
comes.
She's going to preach now.
Is it possible that we could have buy-in?
Yeah.
It makes sense.
The contract.
Oh yeah, I'm
I
willing
am
to.
then
I'm willing to do
willing
that.
to
So-
do
Oh,
this.
I'm willing to do
Here you
that.
go.
Okay,
Will you sign the
excellent.
contract?
Yeah, I signed it right there.
There's a treatment plan, Shawn.
Yeah. No, I am willing to. do
Okay,
that. I'm willing
so
to make. That's an easy change to make.
So can you verbalize what it is that you're willing to do?
I am willing to leave the bed if I'm not sleeping and go somewhere else to deal with things and then come back just for sleep.
Do you know that like
Jean, did you hear
said
that?
You tried everything, and that's like a basic.
I have done that. Okay, let me explain what's happened in the past when I've done that.
Okay.
And I didn't promise to be an easy nut to crack, but what happens is I get interested in the world around me when I leave the bedroom, and then
You end up all
Squirrel.
night.
then I'm up all night. Oh my goodness, look at this. There's a book of philosophy that I haven't read yet, and I bought it 6 months ago, and I'll just thumb through it for a minute over here in the living room, and next thing you know, it's 4 o'clock.
Okay, then we have a very specific
Yep.
place that you're allowed to go to where it doesn't have a bunch of
Corner,
books.
I spent my whole youth there.
No, okay, not the corner. We'll call it something else, but you can only go to a very specific place that doesn't have all the
Yeah.
distractions around it. Okay, so sign the contract.
Yeah, okay, I'll sign. There's nothing on there.
We're going to write your treatment plan and send
After
it to
I
your
sign it?
wife.
All right. No, that does make sense. Where do you go that's not interesting? One of the afflictions I have, I think, I don't know if it's an affliction or not, is
Curiosity.
everything is interesting. Everything is interesting. Go out.
Praise God
I'll
for a
just go out and
wonderful
stand in the
mind.
backyard. And I think I'll go out in the backyard. I'll clear my thoughts there. And my goodness, there's a moth I've never seen before. And it's like, where does that come from? And I wonder if I Google it, if we can figure out where that. Everything.
I think Google and you are like a bad combination. Like
It is a bad
yeah,
combination.
It would be
You can't look just one thing up.
exactly.
But everything's interesting. So where do you go that isn't interesting?
Yeah.
What have you-
Everything's interesting.
What have you tried in the past to quote unquote shut your brain down? Some people rely on anti-anxiety meds, sleep meds, melatonin. What have you tried?
This is probably a bad idea. You're going to recoil in horror. But one thing, I do two things. White noise, number one. There's something about white noise that
It helps.
your brain drift. And if I can get my
don't
brain
know
to drift,
what that is. What is white noise?
white
What have
noise
you
is
tried?
like the static on your television. And so
Or you can even get white noise apps on your iPhone.
yeah,
Just
I've
go
got
right next
I've
to
got an
it.
electric
Yeah.
fan on my iPad that I just turn on a fan. A fan is white noise.
Yeah.
And that somehow gets your brain to drift. The other thing I do is I stick my iPhone under my pillow, and nowadays with TuneIn Radio and other apps, I can listen to any radio station in the world. 3ABN, you can listen to 3ABN. I need somebody to talk. In the old days, I used to go down and watch the preachers at 2 in the morning on TV and turn it really low.
There's actual sleep aids that are recordings of women speaking, and they're usually like in a librarian kind of context, and they're speaking in a way that you can't really hear what they're saying, but they're going like, and just the
That's what I'm
consonants.
looking for. And I find that suddenly I'm trying, and if I turn it down low enough, now I have to listen, and everything else fades into the background but that interaction. And I don't want to use the word hypnosis because I'm not a fan of that whole, but there's something
the
about...
objectionable thing about hypnosis is mind control, mind controlling. This is not
But this is focused...
It's calming.
This is calming.
Yeah.
This is calming.
And that helps you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then you wake up at 2 in the morning and change the channel. And
Yeah. So I want to go back to your fear, though. I think that was really fertile ground, and your
you haven't
perfectionism.
watched me
I'm not going to let go that easy.
No,
I really think that you would be able to bless. I mean, you're blessing thousands, maybe millions of people with your ministry, and it's awesome. But I really think you could bless more people if you had a testimony about overcoming perfectionism. Because perfectionism does, I mean, you're such a jolly soul. You laugh your way through it, and then you admit, how neurotic you are. But some people, it is their undoing. So
Right.
can we probe a little deeper into the
yeah,
perfectionism?
perfectionism is a word that I probably squirm with that because in a religious context that means something
I
different.
know.
And I don't live in that world. I don't live in the world of religious perfectionism.
But so many people
But the
do.
principles and the habits carry over for many people. Now, maybe you've successfully compartmentalized.
Oh, I totally have, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean,
So,
Shawn the Sinless?
what would you? Okay, all right. Tell me in a sentence what your home of origin, upbringing, training said to you about doing well at things, and also what it said about not doing well.
Immigrant parents. I've thought about this, in the wee hours when you're laying awake, you wonder what's doing this to you. And so, immigrant parents, father who comes at 18 with $45 and you got to make it. And so there's probably an atmosphere of you've got to make it. And I feel responsibility for my family. So I think, I got to make it. How am I going to support my wife if we retire one day? How am I going to... Got to make it was probably a huge part of my upbringing and working hard.
But wait a minute, there's a weird association there because you being perfect in all your tweets is not going to have any impact at all as to whether you can support your family or not.
What is that? That's a typo.
Yeah, like
The English language is
an
how I make my living.
experiment.
I know, but
Shawn.
you being imperfect is not going to hurt you. You're still going to be able to support your family. So I don't accept that.
Okay.
Can you try again?
I don't know. I definitely grew up in an atmosphere of you got to make it and you do your, and probably I grew up Dutch Calvinist background, which is a huge work ethic. Work is an act of worship. You do your very best, not for ego's sake or for pride's sake, but because that's how you honor God. That is an element there as well.
Okay, so
That's
there's
really
a few.
powerful.
There's a link.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, this is how you get one lifetime, and your life is a testimony to God's goodness. That would have to be subconscious if I'm doing that, because I don't start out my day thinking,
Right.
Well, obviously something that's driving this is subconscious. You're not choosing to not be able to sleep.
Right.
Yeah.
I do think there's something significant going on, and like Jen mentioned anxiety, and I know you don't really like that word, but if you think of it as when a person's under pressure or has fear, they tend to go to one or the other end of a spectrum. So if their tendency is when they're overwhelmed or under pressure to become depressed, then it's kind of like if you were in a car and you're experiencing pressure or intensity of some kind,
Right.
the depressed person crawls in the back seat and covers themselves with a gray blanket and huddles there because they're overwhelmed, they can't fix it.
right.
They avoid.
I tend to be give me the wheel.
The opposite, exactly. The opposite reaction is, I think I've got this. And you tighten your grip on the wheel,
Yep.
and
No,
you
that's
take
me.
over. And that's exactly what I think is
Oh, no,
driving
there's no
what's
question
going on
about
here.
that.
But there are things that you're able to put yourself in the passenger seat and relax on. So the question is, why is it that what happens before you go to sleep is in the driver's seat clutching the steering wheel category, and how could you move it to
Yeah, that's a
being
good-
able to be in the passenger seat?
question.
Is there some avoidance? What would happen if you didn't do your best? Put it in a sentence right from your gut, from your upbringing.
Really simple. I would know I didn't do my best.
And that would what would happen if you knew? What
That
would that mean about you?
I actually derive joy from knowing I did my best. And not doing my best would be,
You are tough. And
I know, but I'm being honest. I'm trying to be transparent.
all right.
I'm trying to, and the reason I've objected to the word anxiety is I don't want people to think there's a cold sweat or that there's not. It's just
You
an
don't have the
active.
symptomology of the normal
No.
anxiety
All right.
features.
I don't have panic attacks. I don't have cold sweats. I don't get the knot in my stomach. Maybe once in a blue moon. But who doesn't once in a blue moon? I can't turn it off. It's active. It's an I
It's racing
can't.
thoughts.
It's racing
No,
thoughts.
I think there's some DNA here. I don't think it's all you being, damaged from your
Right.
childhood or anything like that. I think
No, I
there's-
had a really
there's-
good childhood. Let
Yeah,
me
it
just
seems
say,
like
and
you
Mom and Dad watched 3ABN. It was really great.
Did they really?
I went, no.
Seriously?
Oh yeah. No. I had a good childhood.
Did you?
Yeah, sure I did.
Yeah. You were happy?
Oh, yeah.
Well adjusted?
I don't know.
John,
I don't know.
I
You know
wanna-
me. How well adjusted am I? But
You have children.
yeah, I do.
How does this impact your parenting and your relationship with them?
That's a really good question. Wow. I tend to demand quite a bit. And
How have
thinking
they
so.
taken
our
that?
motto in our house is work first, play later.
I'm thinking I could have actually verbalized
Oh,
that
yeah.
to you, but I wanted to
no,
ask.
our
because
motto has been,
want
you
to
work
make
first, you
sure
play later.
You are aware that there may
Oh.
be some transference between
yeah.
how you expect
I actually
from
think
you.
about that a lot.
And what do you think when you think about that?
I try to back off a bit. I try to say it's okay. Now, the other component there is, of course, my kids have grown up in a fishbowl. So I've deliberately tried to not. No, on some things I demand things. You know what? You didn't need to get that grade.
Yeah.
You didn't need to get
Just a
that grade.
fact.
You can do better.
So you give them permission for a few typos.
Oh yeah.
Good.
My kids mess up far less than I do. I do give permission for that. And
You have 2 daughters, right?
2 daughters. Yeah.
And that's it.
That's right.
Okay.
And so I'm aware of every.
Have
young
they
man
ever
in the
said
country.
to you, Dad, what's
I'm aware of every young man in the continental United States. I know
you've
where they are.
modified your views on gun control? So have they ever told you, Dad, can't you just let go, or we just feel like we're going to make a mistake and we're so worried, or if they conveyed any of that to you?
Once in a while. Once in a while. Not very often, and I'm quite willing. To take it if it's sincere, and I'm not willing to take it as an excuse. So if a child says, "Well, maybe that's all I'm capable of,"
Yeah. You're
no,
like,
no, not a
Yeah.
chance. Do I demand a Rhodes Scholar? No, I don't. But I am cognizant of the fact that if I'm highly driven, that I might expect that of people who aren't and put too much pressure on them. I do think about that.
Okay.
Has the drivenness ever challenged bonding? Because there's kind of a tension between relationship and task orientation. People tend to be on a spectrum somewhere, so they may
Yeah.
be very task achievement oriented, or some people may be more relationally oriented. Sometimes those things come to swords points. So have you ever noticed in your relationship, for instance, with your kids, that the drivenness factor of your whole family, because you're all like high
Yeah,
achievers.
yeah.
So has that ever gotten in the way of bonding?
No, we're really close.
Are you?
I have to say, and I thank God for that every day. And do we ever have moments of tension? I got teenage kids. Sure we do. It's like, don't give me that.
normal.
Don't give me that. No, that's
Don't
fine.
give who what?
Don't give me that excuse. Like, give me a break.
You say that to your
Oh,
kids.
yeah.
Yeah.
But we're close. We're closer, and I grew up, I had a good family growing up, but we weren't, I wouldn't describe us as close as my family is now. And so I'm still daddy. And I enjoyed that moment, by the way. Jean got demoted to mom. And I'm still daddy, but.
What do you mean she got demoted?
Oh, no, she was mommy,
versus
mommy,
mom,
mommy.
dad
And she
versus
became
daddy.
mom, and I'm still
You're still
daddy.
daddy. How do you find time for family and
It's not
relationship?
easy. It's true. Our life has been atypical in that in our children's youngest years, we were on the road 220, 230 days a year,
With the whole family.
sometimes. And then we decided that takes too much of a toll on our children. A different time zone every other day, and they're little, and so then it was me on the road quite a bit, because we had to balance, how much time do we take together and how much is this actually damaging? They don't have a life, they don't have friends, they don't have, and so that wasn't easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But are we close? Yeah. My daughter called me last night. Hey, Dad, I'm thinking about this at college. What do you think? And
Awesome.
this happens all the time. We've been very open. We talk about everything. We talk about, We talk about everything.
Everything.
We talk about everything, and my kids are far more open than I would have been as a child. You know, the Dutch and the German don't talk about
They're
certain
not talkers. Yeah, they don't share emotions and things.
No,
like
I don't share emotions if
You
I
don't
have to. No.
You've been sharing emotions for the last hour,
Yeah,
Shawn.
I know.
Yeah.
You've done
So
a really
as-
good job at it, too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
very good.
I get a gold star for being.
You
emotional.
do get a
you
gold
do.
star.
Absolutely.
It took courage to stand before this tribunal of counselors. But we're not done with you yet. We have a few more.
Oh.
So,
I want to take Jen's question that she's asked you like 3 times.
And I've avoided.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we're
Okay.
just going to try and say it one more time.
Okay.
If you weren't ready or you didn't quite make it, because you said your internal drivenness is, I got to make it. If you didn't, what would happen?
I would know, and that's the bottom line. That's it. I would know.
you over and over again appear as your own taskmaster. Not,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not going to say tyrant, but
I don't need
taskmaster.
somebody to drive me. I
Yeah.
never have.
Yeah.
I never have.
You would know that you didn't make it, but
And then what?
And what would be so
happen?
bad about
What
that?
would be so bad?
I would know. I think that's it. That's the bottom
Could
line.
you accept yourself if you didn't do your best?
I don't know.
It would be worth experimenting with.
Would your wife and your girls still love you?
Oh yeah. Oh, I hope so.
Would Jesus still love you?
Oh, of course.
Isn't that the gospel?
It is.
But Shawn still loves Shawn.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. That's not. I don't know how much I love myself.
But you
I don't know how
would
much I
still be
love
able to
myself.
respect
Oh
yourself,
yeah.
even if you.
Oh yeah. I don't think that's because I've messed up colossally on occasion, and I can roll with that.
Can you tell us about a time you messed up?
There's not that. There's not that many. Come to think. Oh yeah. I have gone in. Say for a presentation where I thought, I can wing that. And at the end, I knew I didn't. A, I didn't wing it. B, it didn't obtain the desired effect from that room.
What do you mean you didn't wing it? Like,
I didn't wing it like I didn't successfully wing it.
Okay.
Like I really didn't wing
You
it.
got a C versus an A.
You
Yeah.
bet. You bet. Where I walked in, I thought, I'm going to convince that board. No problem. I've done this 100 times before. And bam, it fell apart on me. And then I wished, I should have spent a little time on that. Yeah, one of the, there is a level of, if I get a phone call, hey, can you come and speak? My first thought is, boy, do I have time to get ready for that?
really?
Always,
You're really, really into being prepared.
yes.
Very important.
You
Yes,
know,
because
Which is a
it looks natural
strength.
if you're prepared.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's that blessing and a curse thing. It's just finding that balance point. I mean,
Right.
perfectionism can be a curse, but with balance, and I think what Jen is just trying to propose, and we're all trying to propose, is would you take the suggestion of doing an experiment of just practicing with some intentional downtime or intentional typos, however they look for you. They don't have to be on Twitter.
I'll be watching Twitter.
Okay.
No, they're not going to be any typos. I don't know.
But I mean, like, whatever that looks like, even if
Yeah.
it's just with when you guys have family night, just permission for being human. I mean, because that's, I think, our message we're wanting to get out there is we're really all just human trying to get ready for Jesus to return, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't mind being human.
Yeah, it's not that he's not human. He's very human. It's the doing the best he can do in usually tasks that have
Well,
to do with communication.
Here's another little piece of it. Maybe we're out of time, but I don't know. But I'm an off-the-charts introvert by nature, and I live in an extroverted world.
You
And I
certainly
live
do.
in an extroverted career.
Yes.
And so for me to walk out in front of 2,000 people and speak takes everything I've got to. So there's an element
Yes.
there in the
Oh.
hyper preparation is that for me to do that's completely unnatural. I'm terrified of public
So you
speaking.
overcompensate
this is-
Oh, yeah.
in your
This is the answer.
preparation.
This is
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
This is
you're-
why the pop-ups are so big at night.
Yeah.
Because it's your subconscious is sorting things out and putting things in files. It's what you do as an introvert.
Yeah, well, I'm off the charts. I'm shy. I don't like social gatherings. I can't stand potluck because it's
Yeah.
like,
But let me
Overstand.
quickly insert this, and that is that Shawn told me off the camera that at the end of all of his lectures, he stays until the last person has been ministered to, which I want to give you not 10 but 20 stars for that, because so many public speakers, they finish their job, they walk off, and they won't associate. It's almost like they think they're on another level. But you come and you minister to people, and you will not leave, you said, until...
Well,
I mean, there's
sometimes
some
I do, because
exceptions.
the introvert in me gets exhausted.
Yeah.
And some nights I go, I've had enough, I'm going to go.
But barring exhaustion,
Yeah. Yeah, I
You
do it, but
minister
I
to
don't get
people
up
one-on-one.
front because I enjoy it. I don't enjoy it. I get up front because those people are in the same boat I was once in, and they need some help.
and I remember when you first came
Amen.
on the scene, you were Henry Feyerabend's understudy.
Yeah.
Is that the right word,
I
Henry?
suppose so.
And you were kind of working with him from Canada.
Yeah.
And then you took over It Is Written initially. And I
Yeah.
remember that. And I remember when you first started speaking at camp meetings, and a friend of mine called me and said, this new guy, Shawn Boonstra, is a really good speaker, and he's really friendly. He talks to people afterward, and he's just really like cordial and affable, and because that meant a lot to us, because we want to know that the people, you know, we're all women, and we tend not to get the spots up there. It tends to be men, and we want to know that those men are caring people that are willing to come down to our level, so to speak. So that, I just want to say, that means a lot to me that
Well,
you're
that's-
that way.
I'm glad it's blessing people.
Yeah,
I'll
and
put
you've
it
always been very friendly to me personally. I've never felt like he thinks he's just all that, and he's untouchable.
I know I'm not all that.
And
Shawn, you mentioned a couple things that work for you.
Yeah.
For the chronic struggler of insomnia out there that maybe travels. I mean, you travel time zones.
Oh,
you don't
yeah.
just travel. What works the best for you in those situations?
in about 1 minute or less.
White noise, something to distract me. I need something to distract me. And if it's visual, if it's reading, forget it. I'm going to get engaged. It's got to be audible. Lights out,
Okay.
radio,
Low
talk
stim.
radio, and the more boring.
The better. And
The
how do
better.
you feel about it when people write you with remedies and different treatments for insomnia when you admit your health
Sometimes I
problems?
laugh about it. You
Yeah.
know, please don't write. Please don't
Yeah,
write. Yes,
Because
I've
you've
tried.
tried
that.
everything. You've tried
I've been to sleep
melatonin, you've tried
clinics, I've
valerian,
been to-
you've tried,
yeah.
you've really gone the
I've done the
gamut.
sleep clinic. They just told me, boy, you really don't sleep.
Oh, thanks.
You're hopeless.
Yeah.
Are you
So
going to bill me for that?
No,
You
I
don't-
tried it all. The
you appreciate
valerian,
that
the
people
melatonin.
care, but
Melatonin
you-
gives you nightmares.
Yeah, really?
Oh yeah.
Not me.
Oh really?
That's unique to you. But you've tried, you think just about everything, and you appreciate the thought, but don't bother. Is that what you
Yeah,
want to say
please
to people?
don't. Please don't.
All right. We are so grateful that you've joined us for this amazing program about the man who almost never slept. He's getting a whopping 3 to 4 hours every night these days, and we're so thankful for that because it used to be worse. But we've really plumbed the depths of Shawn Boonstra's psyche, and it's been a wild ride. Thank you for joining us, and may you be blessed, and may you sleep well tonight because he gives his beloved sleep.